song though.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Uminekos.
Hey, the Sea Cats.
The Sea Cats.
Yeah,
It still really weirds me out that's what it's called.
it's great.
So, we realized that we didn't have enough time to record a full episode, so we decided to sit down and talk about some theories that I was spouting.
Yeah.
Before I got too far into the theories without writing them down somewhere or recording them somewhere.
Yeah.
So welcome to either the introduction or outro to one other episode, or an episode that stands alone by itself, purely based on its might.
I'm excited to find out which it is.
Yeah, me
in
too.
the far future.
This is really more interesting than the murder mystery,
It's
let's
true,
be real.
really.
So, the thing that I was talking about is I think this is the first point in the novel where we're up to right now, where basically I think I actually have something of a theory going.
Okay.
Not
sure.
necessarily answering the question, but just the theory nonetheless.
Sure. Why don't you?
Because we
what you
just
hit me?
had 4 characters thrown out of Kinzo's study,
Yes.
which was Nanjo, Genji, Kumasawa, and
Maria.
Maria.
Mhm.
And then Jessica, George, Battler, and Natsuhi are staying in the room.
Yes.
Because
In the
a letter
study.
appeared on the table
Yes.
mysteriously out of nowhere.
Mhm.
Now, I was talking about the fact that Maria is basically like our catalyst for black magic, right? If Maria is wrong about black magic or spouts lies about black magic, what the fuck is this story?
Okay.
Like, I'm happy for there to be, in my head, it's like, it's cool that there's probably misdirection or some clues that are misleading, but I don't think there's going to be anything explicitly wrong, because otherwise
Yeah.
we can't really get any answers about black magic in this
So,
story.
what leads you to that conclusion? Well, is the conclusion that Maria's not lying about anything? That this isn't some game to her or a lie or whatever?
I think, first of all, the fact that we've established that she's a young, innocent child. I think we've definitely questioned that a few times, which is
Okay.
meant to be misdirecting, I think.
You think so? You think that these dual personalities are just not a thing?
I think the point that I was making is more that that's meant to be a misdirection. Like, I think I said to you before, if she's lying about something, it's not that she's lying about the truth, it's that she's lying about something, opinion-based. Like, who she takes herself to be, which is what, like, the dual personality argument is that George was raising.
Okay.
So I think that, basically, as I said, even though Maria could totally be wrong and this entire argument is founded on nothing but lies and bullshit, I think that it would be extremely out of place for the only character that seems to have any knowledge of black magic other than the one who died, to be telling lies. Especially one that was as upfront as the fact that Beatrice cannot come through this door.
She, in fact, seems to be the only character who knows anything about the epitaph, which is something that we just talked about. The characters were like, oh, that epitaph, the one that at the start of the game we were told to solve. Maria's like, I've been telling you this entire time. I mean, I didn't want to solve it because we're going to get taken to the Golden Land. But, like, you guys should probably have been solving that.
Yeah, but basically my case is that if Maria is correct, which I assume she is at this point,
Sure.
Beatrice did not go into that room, which means that one of the 8 people in there is indeed a culprit in some fashion.
I have 2 questions for you.
Yeah.
The first one, if we're accepting that magic is real,
Yeah.
do you think that Beatrice would be able to expand her power to a point where she could pass through that door? Do you think that's impossible?
I mean, I don't think it's impossible, as I've said a few times, because we don't really know the rules of black magic at this point.
The other criticism that I have,
Yeah.
the other thought, I should say, that appears in my mind, Maria states that no one could have, or Beatrice could not have passed through this door. We've seen this situation before with Kinzo not being able to pass through the door due to the receipt. And Battler explained that situation by saying that Kinzo hid under the bed. Now, I'm not saying that Beatrice is actually hiding in a room somewhere, but perhaps that's something you should consider.
I mean, it's certainly something that I have considered. That's one of the things is, like, I think that at this point in the story, especially given how black and white the statement was about Beatrice not getting into the room, I think that that's definitely solid. The thing that we don't understand at this point is whether or not being able to get into the rooms means that she cannot use the door, or that she physically cannot enter the space.
It's true.
That question is not answered, but I'm comfortable enough to say at this point, I think that one of the 8 people in the room is definitely an accomplice.
Sure. Good. You have theoretically boiled it down to 8 out of 18 people.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Then the other thing that I was talking about is, I think Maria is definitely involved, but probably not, like, guilty.
Mm-hmm. You don't think she's the culprit?
Because she's basically had an alibi most of the time.
It's true. I can't even poke holes in that. Maria has been with the party, as it were. If we call the cousins, like, the main group.
Yeah.
With Battler in the lead, then she's been with them for almost the entire story, except for that one time that she got an umbrella and a letter from Beatrice.
Yeah, and even then, getting an umbrella and a letter from Beatrice would likely have not led to so much misdirection to be a full-on accomplice.
Okay.
Then the other thing is, I think of the people in the room that I suspected the most when Natsuhi pointed out the letter, the first one I thought was Natsuhi, because she was the one that observed it.
Okay.
And also because, by making some big display about it, as though to make herself seem innocent, it would actually be more suspicious to me.
Okay.
The other one would be Genji, because Genji would be doggedly trying to actually get them to commit to fulfill the epitaph.
That's what Kinzo wanted.
Yeah, so if we actually go to the third letter, it's basically saying, like, hurry up and goddamn finish the epitaph.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
I mean, Kumasawa-san probably also kind of suspicious, because, there have been several cases where she's been off-screen temporarily when shit's gone down, like when Kanon died. Like, she was just off-screen in that scene, but we're not sure in which direction, and it would also kind of cut from Kumasawa to Kanon yelling, which means that it could have been Kumasawa coming into the room that Kanon was yelling at.
Yeah. There is one other thing that I want to kind of point out. I remember that a fair while ago we had Ava talking about like how she was with Genji during the time that the six were murdered.
Yeah.
But that if Genji is the culprit or an accomplice, then her alibi is moot. That is exactly what happened in this section with the servants.
Yeah.
Because Natsuhi is the one with the gun, and she knows that Battler, George, and Jessica, or she assumes at least, they're not the culprits. She says, well, you servants all been running around, and even if you guys have alibis or providing alibis for each other, I did not see you. Therefore, those alibis are moot. So the exact point that Ava was talking about is what Natsuhi is using, or what she seems to be using, to suspect one of the servants. Even if she doesn't know who it is. She wants to push them out of the room so that she's safe, and so her daughter will not be end up with a stake in her head, whatever those weird things are.
Yeah. And I think the other thing that made me suspect Natsuhi there is that if Natsuhi at this point, as I said, I don't know if I said it on recording, but she's the only one out of the ones that we know has seen the gold.
That's true.
So that means she's the only one that has verifiable fact that at least the bit about the gold is true.
So you think that that's maybe her motivation? She wants to find the gold?
I think maybe that's her motivation, and also the fact about keeping her daughter safe. Even if she is guilty and she sent the others out of the room, she could still just be keeping her daughter safe by making the others targets.
Then why would she kill Kraus?
I mean, that's the bit where I'm tripped up. Like, that's the reason I wouldn't lock in Natsuhi as my suspect, but she's certainly the one in that scene, self-contained scene, that seemed to be the most suspicious to me.
Cool. Okay. It sounds like you have a pretty good theory. I like it.
Yeah.
I like that you're engaging and coming up with stuff rather than just kind of passively experiencing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. It sounds like you've thought a lot about what's going on right now. I'm excited to continue and get to the end of this episode so we can talk about it in full, because I think that we will have an episode where we talk about like the different Twilights, because we've established by now that murders are following Twilights. So I think that maybe after we've finished episode 1, we'll do like maybe a half an hour long episode just going through every mystery and discussing it in minute detail.
Yeah, I think the other thing is I have plenty of other things I'd like to discuss, but I kind of want to hold them until the end of the episode.
I think that's a good idea. I think that the question that we'll leave you guys with is one that my friend Felix has been struggling with for quite a while now, and apparently if he solves it, he'll just be able to crack the whole thing wide open, is, does black magic exist or not? I mean, that's kind of the quintessential question.
That's the quintessential question, but the other thing is what are the rules of black magic?
That's also true.
Because in my head, the answer to that question is yes. And even with that in my head, I still can't really answer anything. I think that it's certainly, like, that is the catalyst question for where theories will begin. Like, once that is answered for certain, then we can know how certain things work. But because once we accept that magic is true, then it's like, well, to what extent does this supernatural power actually allow people to do things?
Definitely.
And that just creates another whole mess. But, I mean, that's certainly the forefront of my concerns.
Definitely. I think that, to kind of conclude, I think that I can neither confirm nor deny the existence of black magic or any rules which govern it. You'll just have to keep reading and find out.
That's come join along for the ride as I slowly go insane.
Like Kinzo.
Like Ben.
Me too.
So either I hope you enjoyed that episode, this episode, or the next episode, whichever one we stitched it together with. But there you go. So
We're back, baby.
We're back. We don't know if we've just welcomed you to this episode or whether you just came from another one where we were talking about stuff.
Hopefully you did. I feel like that'd make the most sense, but we'll see how it goes.
I mean, we'll figure it out. Yeah. Either way, where are we? We are currently in Kinzo's study.
Kinzo's study. There's been a letter placed on the table, which we read.
Do we want to just look over that?
Was it Praise My Noble Name? Was it the most recent one? Or was it... No, it was the one about, like, how are you finding that epitaph that you haven't looked at once? Which is great.
What the fuck was that voice?
That was... It's kind of like Kumasawa, honestly. How are you enjoying that epitaph?
Nah, that's not.
You know what? I don't even know who it was. Point is, we're just reading this, and we're talking about how 4 people have just been kicked out of the study under suspicion of placing a letter, and 4 people are still within the study. Maria has said that Beatrice cannot get inside the study due to weird magic shit, which is great. And I believe that Nanjo and Genji were going to go play a game of chess out in the parlor.
If you haven't watched our intermediary clip about what we thought about the end of last episode, I'll probably put a link somewhere to get to it.
Yeah, sounds good.
If not, just Google search dumb people talk about Umineko and you'll probably find it.
Oh my god, it's true. Long story short, we suspect one of the 4 people, the 3 servants rather, and Maria. Anyway, I believe we're starting with you. This is Battler's turn.
Sure. After we chased them out, nobody wanted to say anything. All of the suspicious ones had been driven away. All of them.
All of them.
All of them. Even though we knew there might be some innocents among them, we still did it. We chased them out of this paradise. Paradise is a strong word, I think.
Yeah.
Where people don't have to suspect each other. But our motive for chasing them out was suspicion of one person toward another, the worst kind of crime for a human. If we had accepted the existence of a 19th person of the witch, then we all might still be talking face to face, trusting in each other.
Yeah.
In that instant,
There's wind.
there's the wind again, we had agreed to chase out all of the suspicious people. But had that been the right thing to do? During this endless silence, we could do nothing but quietly be tormented by that sin. And Natsuhi faced the door without letting go of her rifle for even an instant, sitting far back in the sofa. She would probably spend the night staring at the door without a wink of sleep.
Can you, just for a second, can you imagine what it would be like to be in these people's situation where, like...
No, I really can't.
10 people have been murdered.
I
and you're
really
like,
can't.
Yeah?
No.
I'm just saying, this is kind of fucked up. 10 people are dead, 8 people left. Someone of those is a killer, probably. Like, it's fucked up.
Yeah, Georgianiki gazed through a gap in the closed curtains by the window, looking down at the courtyard and mansion that surrounded it. I didn't know whether he was checking to see if a suspicious shadow would be visible through the window, or whether he was wondering to himself about something. Jessica was sitting sideways on the sofa next to Natsuhi with a dead expression on her face. And every once in a while, as though she just remembered something, she'd take out the inhaler she'd used during her asthma attack and stick it in her mouth. I just heard it from Aniki, but apparently Jessica liked Kanonkin. I'm so glad that we had this relationship going on with both servants.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Shannon and George, and Canon and Jessica, apparently.
I feel like they made that pretty obvious, at least earlier. It was apparently so vague that she hadn't realized it herself. You know, it's the kind of thing other people tend to spot before the person in question realizes it, which means she might have first learned of her feelings when the person she liked died.
Yeah.
Must have been so terrible, so sad. Come to think of it, Kanonkin was the one who handed her that inhaler. Maybe she was remembering that. I was fishing around Grandfather's study, thinking I'd research the meaning of the magic circle on the letter's second sheet. I'm glad he had the same idea I did.
Yeah, to like research in this room full of tomes.
Yeah. Even though we were shut up here and in a defensive position, my rebellious nature made me want to find some key, some way to resist. After all, we got plenty of time before tomorrow morning. Who could fault me for how I used that time? No one else showed that much interest in the magic circle. Its meaning was unknown, and once we understood it, we were sure to find some message that would cause us unnecessary anguish. I felt the same way. However, I couldn't just ignore it, so I killed time by going through the motions of researching it.
Cool. You sure are enthusiastic. Did you find anything that might serve as a hint?
Not a thing. The first tough part is finding a book written in Japanese. Just how many languages could Grandfather read? It's incredible.
Aren't you tired, Batlakun? You should take a rest while someone else stays awake. Natsuhi said she'd stay up all night for us, but there's no way her body can handle that. We should take turns sleeping.
And you sleep first, Aniki. I'll keep researching till I get sleepy.
You mean that magic circle just now?
Yeah. Got plenty of time to kill. I thought it would be interesting to find out what kind of message Beatrice somehow put in it. The other thing I was thinking, actually, is when you mentioned in our intermediary thing that Beatrice might have gotten more power to get into the room, that might be what this magic circle is.
Maybe. I guess we'll have to find out.
Give it a rest. Mess around with stuff like that and you'll end up getting possessed by something weird. Don't worry, I've been certified by Maria. She said I've got no spiritual talent at all. Were we too cruel to Maria?
Jessica, you mustn't think that now.
But Mom, if Maria wasn't involved and there's a culprit besides her, she's obviously a soft target for the murderer. If she's killed because of this, then we've just left her to die. And, the other three as well.
Yeah, but we don't care about them as much as Maria.
A gloomy silence settled in once again. It looked like Jessica regretted letting her emotions take hold of her and snapping at Maria. She's always been like that, always acting tough and regretting it later.
I understand how you feel, but Maria was in close contact with the culprit, and she might have been siding with them, talking like that over and over to further confuse matters. I am relieved that we chased them out.
It's pretty harsh, Natsuhi. Could it just being the nonsense of a 9-year-old girl? Probably wasn't very convincing to hear that coming from me. I myself thought Maria was creepy on several occasions, even doubting her true nature. And when Maria was chased out of this room, I couldn't deny I'd felt some relief.
If that is the case, then tomorrow we will apologize for what we did. I will take full responsibility for chasing them out of this room. This isn't something the rest of you have to worry about.
I could feel a tragic determination in Aunt Natsui's voice. To protect her own daughter, she had resolutely chased out the suspicious ones. And if, as a result, she had to watch the people who had unfortunately been suspected die, so be it. She was prepared to take full responsibility. The other thing I find interesting about this is that they're like, oh no, what about Maria? But Maria's like, it's fine, guys, whereas everyone else was freaking out about it.
That's true. She's the one who is the most, like, she thinks she's the most safe, certainly. She's like, yeah, whatever, we'll just be resurrected.
I mean, I don't even think, yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't think she thinks she's safe from death, but she's like,
it won't matter. Yeah,
bring
whatever.
it on.
I'm immortal, whatever.
Why does Maria have to keep saying stuff like that? She's bringing about her own ruin.
I think the reason Maria-chan adores witches and magic so much might be Aunt Rosa.
Aunt Rosa? What did she have to do with this?
Didn't you realize it too, Batlakun? Maria-chan's real father ran off somewhere a long time ago, although Aunt Rosa tried to confuse the issue by saying he's on a foreign business trip. Talking about Rosa-san's family has become a kind of taboo in the Oshumiya family. I think Aunt Rosa thought about remarrying, but I also believe Maria-chan may have become her shackles and made that quite difficult. After all, she sometimes get really emotional and hit Maria-chan.
I agree with you there. It looked like Aunt Rosa was trying hard to like Maria, which means that she didn't really like her. She might have thought of Maria as someone who stood in the way of her remarrying.
I think that emotional rejection from her mother must have left some deep scars on her young heart. So she learned about this occult hobby from somewhere and immersed herself in it to bury the holes in her heart. Did you know? To Maria-chan, the idea of a witch isn't negative at all. Remember yesterday at the beach when she showed us her notebook?
Yeah, it was full of all those fun-looking scribbles. Yesterday when we were down by the beach doubting the witch, Maria got all riled up and started explaining about witches. Now, one of the pages had shown a picture of an ugly witch. They were all brightly colored, beautiful, cute witches who looked like they were having fun. There was absolutely nothing sinister about them like a boy might have imagined. They were beings adorned with beautiful dresses who could grant anyone's dreams their mysterious magic who made everyone happy. The sorrow of not being loved by her mother had Maria sought help from witches as beings who could give her happiness and save her? Someday a witch would come and using her wonderful magic would bring Maria happiness. Even though she believed that as she grew older she had to face realities, her fleeting dreams were sliced to ribbons one by one. If something claiming to be the Witch of Rekenjimer appeared in front of a girl like that, whispering that she'd take Maria to the Golden Land where Maria could be happy.
Now that it's come to this, I want to confess what's in my heart. Throwing out Maria-chan, no, Genji-san and the rest too, was probably the wrong thing to do, I think.
It wasn't pleasant. Since Jessica had been the one to face them and slam them with words of rejection, her conscience must be tormenting her a lot right now.
Then how do you explain that letter? No one could have said it there except the 4 people standing behind us. I made sure of that with my own eyes. If those 4 are innocent, how was that letter placed in a closed room with 8 people?
There it is again!
Those rooms.
That's right. When you put it that way, those 4 really do seem suspicious. But it's all useless. It's all useless. Why are these ones in bold?
Useless? What is?
Right. Might not be worth anything anymore, but let me spin the chessboard around again. In other words, if one of those 4 really was the culprit, isn't that weird? That's right. Wasn't setting that letter openly on the table the same as confessing that one of them was the culprit? Right, that's weird. If they were going to do it, you think they'd put it in the crack of a door, for example, to make it look like someone had slipped it in from the outside. Of course, they should have known that they'd be suspected if they didn't make it look like the culprit was outside the room. Yeah, that's it exactly. If the culprit was one of those 4, sitting the letter right in the middle of the table would be both risky and meaningless. But putting aside whatever trick was used to set it there, if we assume that the culprit is someone other than those 4, in other words, someone who's outside the room, then they had a lot to gain from that letter.
Enough, Batlakun. It's meaningless to discuss such matters now.
Natsuhi-san quickly guessed what I was getting at. Or maybe she'd thought of it long before I had and had simply held her tongue. If the culprit's outside the room, then they'd be totally stuck the moment we were shut ourselves up in a closed room like this. That's right. It's the same as my theory about how Grandfather disappeared from this room, isn't it? That theory was that Grandfather left the room of his own accord. If the culprit used the same tactic to lure him out, Grandfather left of his own accord, then... Come to think of it, when we found the scorpion magic circle on the doorknob to the study, Maria said it herself. Creatures couldn't get through this door. She could induce someone to leave of their own accord.
Nailed it.
Which would mean we fell for the culprit's trap completely and sent out some new potential sacrifices.
Genji and the rest aren't fools.
Oh, that was Jessica. I made a fool of myself.
That's right. Genji and the rest aren't fools. When they try to protect themselves, they should find the next safest place out of this room. They'll definitely be able to hide themselves there.
And Natsuhi hadn't answered the question.
Ooh.
And Natsuhi herself had realized that if the culprit wasn't in our group back then, the letter would make sense as a trap. However, it wasn't worth the risk of calling back the people she had once thrown out. On Natsuhi right now, her greatest and only duty was to protect the children. By her thinking, in order to do that, a few sacrifices were unavoidable. The thing that I find interesting about that is that they oh yeah, it makes sense that the letter was a trap, but the question is not that the letter was a trap to me. The question is who put it there.
It's a good question.
I feel like the letter was clearly...
I don't know. I mean, is there... I don't want to say that, actually. Just have a think about it. Have a think about who might have put it there or how it might have gotten there. It's something that maybe you should think about. But I definitely think you're on the right.
I mean, I feel like the comment about familiars was probably specifically relevant considering it was raised at the time.
Yeah. What do you think? You think maybe Garp teleported the card in?
Maybe.
That's kind of her thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. Just
but-
a thought.
I mean, again, we're getting back to this problem where it's like, well, does black magic exist? Yes.
Yes.
What are the rules of black magic? Fuck if I know.
Fucking don't know. Exactly. Oh, well, we'll have to find out.
Hey, Natsui. Let me say something a little harsh, okay? That time, what if by coincidence Jessica had also been standing behind you? Would you have chased Jessica from the room too? It's true that a lot of brutal things have happened, but as a mother, you thought you should protect your daughter no matter what. Because of that duty, you chased them out even though you knew that you'd eventually be held responsible for it. It's not like I'm condemning that, but I was just thinking about what a great mother Jessica has.
That's right. You've been dealing with these incidents since morning, and you've been pulling all of us along this whole time without losing your composure. Mostly. Except for the fucking
Except
gun
for the
in Ava's
gun.
face, yeah. If you're all confused too, The rest of us would probably be in the culprit's grasp by now. So I think we all have to thank you. Thank you.
So what you two are trying to say is that you want her to act as Maria's mother too? I always thought of Maria as a real little sister and adored her, and yet a few things happened, we got a little confused, and I've said a lot of mean things to her, hurting her. Mom, please, let's stay together with Maria. No, everyone. There was no culprit among us. The culprit in this case is the witch, Beatrice, okay? So let's stop suspecting each other. And Natsuhi closed her eyes for a short while. Was she coping with her throbbing headache again, or was she thinking of something?
You are my precious daughter, the one I finally received a whole 12 years after I married my husband. I would become the worst kind of demon to protect you.
That was some pretty strong language at the end there. She realized very well that her words were an idealized view of what a mother should be, but even so, she was strongly resolved to protect her daughter even if she had to become a demon. That was her guilty conscience tormenting her. Today's been so long. So many things happen in one day, and we've been driven into a corner so thoroughly. I wonder if we have the right to greet tomorrow the way we are now. There it is. I found it. It's the magic circle. Inside the book I'd been flipping through, I had found the same magic circle that had been drawn on the second sheet of the letter. George Niki peered at it as well. This magic circle's name was the third magic circle of Mars. So which ones have we had so far? We've had...
I'm not sure.
One of the Sun, the second of Mars, the third of Mars, and then the first one, whatever that was.
I don't recall, honestly. I don't remember the names off the top of my head. I have to double check my notes.
The Hebrew written on it was from Psalm 77, verse 13 of the Old Testament. What God is so great is our God. The meaning of the magic circle was discord.
Oh, fuck.
Agitate internal divisions and cause the enemy to bring about their own downfall.
Ah, it's so good.
Wait a sec, seriously? Could there be a more fitting way to describe our current situation and mental state? Couldn't help but be stunned into silence. I want to read that wording again because it took a second to sink in.
Discord. Straight up what's happening right now. Ah, it's so good.
That's pretty great.
I love it.
So this letter was a trap. How did they place it here? There wasn't anyone in this room except for the 8 of us, right? Anyway, let's ignore how they... Ugh! Let's ignore how they got it in there for now. The culprit was just after one thing. They wanted to spread the seeds of doubt inside this impregnable room and use us to throw the sacrificial sheep out.
In that case, they're after the people who went out of the room.
Mom, what should we do? Those 4 are in danger.
Aye.
It wasn't surprising that Aunt Natsuhi remained unpleasantly silent. Even if this was all a trap by the culprit, even if the 4 who had been chased out of the room were in danger, it had nothing to do with the safety of the 4 people in here. There was no way to prove the innocence of the 4 people we'd chased out. If we're willing to let them die, then we shouldn't leave this room no matter what. That way is safest. Oh, what? Oh, that. Oh, Jesus.
I was waiting for that and I was still surprised.
My God, that was too much.
Oh my
Like, there have been a
God.
lot of sharp musical cues, but that was the first one that was straight up a jump scare.
It wasn't even music, it's just the phone ringing.
That was... Oh my God.
Oh my God.
Hold on, I didn't even read that one.
Please.
At that time, suddenly the piercing sound... That's right. Piercing sound
I
of the
agree.
phone rang through the room.
That's accurate.
It was the antique extension phone set on a table in Grandfather's study. Make it stop!
We'll keep going.
It had rung right after we started talking about the letter being a trap. It was natural we'd think of it as an SOS from the ones we'd chased out. Then Natsui spoke.
Oh fuck. Why a phone call? The phone should be broken down and unusable.
That doesn't matter. If that's Maria calling for help.
If the problem with the phones was the culprit's work in the first place, then this call is probably...
That one sentence, the ring of the phone, which had sounded like a scream for help, now started to sound like a ghastly lure for some unknown person.
Ah! Don't touch the phone! I'm out.
You're right?
I'm done. No.
Natsuhi hesitated over whether to pick up the receiver.
Don't pick it up. Oh god. Let's pick it up, Natsuhi. The phones might have been fixed for some reason. It could still be an urgent call from Maria-chan and the rest.
That's right, and if actually is a call from the culprit, bring it on. Why don't we listen to what they've got to say? I can't wait for this to be Beatrice's into the room, like past the magic trap.
She's like teleports, she whips herself out of the phone.
That'd be so great.
I would love that so much.
Why don't we listen to what they've got to say? It's just a phone call. Just a phone call.
It's just a phone call.
No matter what they babble through the receiver, it's not like it's gonna hurt you.
Ah!
It is so gonna hurt them. If you don't pick it up, then I will.
No, don't do it. I will take it. Hello? Oh, this is it for you. Oh, no, it is. All right.
I stretched out my hand to take the receiver, but Aunt Natsuhi grabbed it before I could reach. We all held our breaths, trying to figure out who the person on the other end of the phone was. But for a while, Aunt Natsuhi kept saying hello. A silent phone call. There's no way Maria and the others would do something so creepy, which means, could this phone call possibly really be? Natsuhi stopped repeating hello and strained her ears, because she thought she heard something far away in the other end of the receiver.
You okay there?
But what was that?
Calm yourself. Huh? Is someone singing?
Ah!
I'm excited. What do you mean singing? I don't know. Faintly, from the other end of the phone, I could hear someone singing. I wonder what it could be.
Give it here for a sec. Hello? I half forced the receiver from the stunned Aunt Natsuhi's hand and pressed it against my ear. First I didn't hear anything. Because I had been told about it beforehand, I noticed. It sounded far away from the receiver, rather than someone speaking in a quiet voice. It sounded like a girl singing a song. That voice did sound like Maria's, but that just made the situation even more inexplicable.
I'm so hyped.
I'm just taking a drink because I can't handle this.
We need to be prepared. Let's go, fam.
At the very least, the one who made the phone call hadn't been Maria. After all, Maria was singing some faraway song from the receiver. In that case, the one who made the phone call should have been Genji-san, Kumasawa-san, or Dr. Nanjo. And yet they weren't saying anything. Why? For what reason? The person who made this phone call, who was it? Hey, hello? Who is it? Answer me. Is that Maria singing? Answer me. What's happened? What is it? I don't know. All I can say is this is probably a trap and Maria's in trouble. Oh god, what a fucking ruse.
Ah!
And Natsuhi took the receiver again, but after yelling into it several more times, she realized that she wasn't getting anywhere and hung up. After that, she dialed quickly. She clicked her tongue. That's right, if the phones are working, we should be able to reach the police, but judging by Aunt Natsuhi's reaction, the outside telephone line still didn't connect.
Let's go. Even if we know it might be a trap, we have to go.
Yeah, definitely. Jessica, Aunt Natsuhi, stay here.
No! Ah! Don't split up!
Don't split the party.
Oh my god.
When Aniki and I tried to dash out, Aunt Natsuhi stopped us.
Hold it. I cannot let you go alone. I will go too, with my big fuck off gun. Jessica, wait here.
This is such a bad idea.
I love this.
Wait, so I'll be the only one left out. Nice try, but I'm going to. It might be better that way. If the goal of that phone call was to split us up further, it wouldn't be a good idea to leave someone to watch this room.
There's no time to argue. Let's all go.
I love how they're like, oh yeah, this thing's a trap, and it was clearly a trap.
Let's all go.
Then the phone rings after they talk about the trap, and they're not aware that it's also a trap.
I'm excited. Let's keep going. Let's keep going down this rabbit hole of traps.
Why can't these characters just read Higurashi?
They would understand. It's true.
But Natsuhi raised the rifle and took the lead. I couldn't go unarmed
Oh,
myself.
this is it.
I found a 3-pronged candlestick and readied it.
Candlestand.
Although the pins used to fit candles were short, it was almost like a 3-pronged spear.
His signature weapon, the hat stand. I mean, the candle stand. He kind of, you know.
Why?
Keep going,
Then
fam.
the 4 of us left the study. We left the study, which should have been the safest place inside the mansion. By doing this, we'd been lured out, even though we had barricaded ourselves in a safe, closed room.
Yep.
Perhaps we were doing exactly the same thing Grandfather had done when he disappeared from that room. I'm glad you figured this out!
Oh, God.
Oh god, she's yelling. Maria, where are you? Answer me! I listened closely, but I didn't hear anything. The mansion was vast, and since the passing typhoon was making its last stand, the sound of the rain was even noisier than before.
Oh, Maria-chan said she wanted to watch TV in the parlor, right? Let's try going downstairs. That's right. Let's try there. Everyone, be mindful of your surroundings.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you, Battle.
With Aunt Natsuhi in the center, her rifle ready and a finger on the trigger. Bad technique. We moved in a group, our backs together, checking our surroundings in all directions. It was just as though the magic of that magic circle designed to spread discord had worked. We'd split up, and furthermore, we'd dragged out into dangerous territory. In other words, even now, we were doing just what the culprit wanted us to do. This was a separate world where it wouldn't be odd for anything to suddenly occur. I feel like the mention of separate world is becoming... I mentioned ages back, I don't know if I said it on recording, but I mentioned I would not be surprised by the fact that they just are in a separate world when the typhoon passes.
Totally possible.
And they've mentioned it like at least 3 times.
I'll be honest, I think we should go full ham on this. This is the fucking climax. Let's do it, dude. Let's get to the end.
And
Stop putting it off.
Nervously pointed the barrel of the gun at every dark spot and shadow. It felt like that motion was out of fear rather than caution. But the rifle she held in her hand should have been a trump card that the culprit feared.
A little trigger happy. You know, I've been thinking. It wouldn't be impossible to stick one of those ice picks into someone's chest, like in Kanan-kun's case, but splitting the skull and sticking them in the forehead, like in my parents' case, wouldn't be that easy.
You think the culprit had that kind of animal strength?
They probably had some kind of weapon, a device that can shoot or pound in those ice picks. That handle was too short to be driven in deeply by a human strength alone. Either way, they have enough force to break through his skull. I heard Cannon's wound reached as far as his lungs. If you happen to see your opponent, don't go forwards. You mustn't move away from my back.
Just how sinister and frightening was the weapon that could shoot these creepy ice picks? And could I do anything to combat it with just this candle stand in my hand?
The best weapon.
In the first murder, the culprit probably assaulted all 4 of our parents at once as they discussed the inheritance problem in the dining hall. There were 4 of us here now. Apparently I wasn't the only person thinking this. George and Iki, Jessica, and of course Aunt Natsuhi were stretching their senses to the utmost limit in the highest and worst state of tension, slowly advancing one step and another. Now, what have we done? Because of the seeds of doubt spread by that one letter, we threw Maria and the rest into the middle of this terrifying world. We finally reached the first floor. The parlor was just across the hall.
God, what's
Corpses!
there? Oh, I'm so excited.
When we listened carefully, we could hear it faintly. Maria's eerie singing voice. She wasn't singing naturally as though she were in a good mood. She was singing mechanically like she was at a graduation ceremony and she'd been ordered to. The song she sang was just a common folk song that everyone had probably sung in school at one time or another. Why that in the middle of the night alone with all her heart over and over? Why? But after leaving the study, we called out in loud voices asking Maria where she was. This time no one said even a single word. We hid our breath in the sound of our footsteps and intensely focused on surroundings, to the point of being completely high-strung. We stepped forward. The door to the parlor was closed. We could hear Maria's singing voice through it. And Natsuhi put her hand in the middle of the doorknob, and George and Iki stopped her.
I'll open the door. And Natsuhi, Battler-kun, ready your weapons. Understood. Take care. Fire!
They might attack as soon as we open it. George and Nissan, watch yourself. Here we go.
Sure.
SWAT tactics!
This is great. Then I'll open it. Huh?
Tried to open it, but immediately felt the hard resistance of the lock. Natsuhi took the bundle of keys from her pocket and gave them to George. About 10 keys, and none of us had a clue which was which. Because of this, George had to fumble around loudly and test several of the keys. Since we'd hidden our footsteps, preparing to make a surprise attack on the room, this felt almost fatal. The whole time we could hear Maria's voice from the parlor singing the same song over and over. It was like a broken, crazy cassette tape. We'd been in that room almost constantly since morning. All the frightening things that occurred outside that room left us with the impression that only this room was safe. The baseless impression was quickly falling apart.
It's open. Thank you. George-kun, Jessica, move behind me.
And Natsuhi, let's jump in at the same time and split up in different directions. SWAT tactics.
Yeah.
We just stand around after opening the door. Those ice picks might fly right through the center.
I agree. Ready?
I really wish I could say no.
Fucking battler.
I readied myself. If they're gonna be throwing ice picks, I'll whack them with his candle stand.
Yeah, get him. Go!
And it's empty. And Natsuhi and I rammed into the door before flying into the parlor, quickly splitting up left and right and searching the parlor for someone who might be waiting for us. What our eyes landed upon was an incredibly strange sight. The parlor was stained with blood. This place where we spent almost the entire day, where we pressed together to protect ourselves from some unknown malice, had been stained with fresh blood. It had become an ocean of blood. On the floor lay Genji-san, Kumasawa-san, and Dr. Nanjo, their entire bodies stained bright red with the blood. I did hear that.
System. Oh my god.
But the only way we could identify them was by their clothes. That was because, that's right, this is how the whole tragedy started. Their faces, just like our smashed-up parents in the shed, you couldn't tell where their eyes stopped and their noses began. As though they'd rudely plunged their faces into tomato pot piles all squished up. Ah!
We go system real quick. I know this is a tense scene, but just real
Sure.
quick. Let's have a look at what they've told us about these characters' deaths.
So let's go this way.
There's Nanjo. Attending physician Nanjo. Found in the parlor, his thigh had a weapon resembling an ice pick sticking out of it, and his face had been smashed. The seventh twilight, gouged the knee and kill. Servant Genji, found in the parlor, he had a weapon resembling an ice pick sticking out of his stomach, and his face had been smashed. The sixth twilight, gouged the stomach and kill. Alright. Servant Kumasawa, found in the parlor, her calf had a weapon resembling an ice pick sticking out of it, and her face had been smashed. The eighth twilight, gouged the leg and kill.
Not dead.
Yeah, we still have 5 people left.
Hold
We're
on.
fine.
How many nights do we have left?
That's
it.
That's it.
That's it.
That's all the sacrifices that the Witcher needed. And now we revive, right?
Sure.
Guess we'll find
that
out.
wasn't all. Their bodies had other wounds. There's those demon ice picks. They were in Genji-san's stomach, Dr. Nanjo's thigh, no, his knee. That's
Yeah.
right, of course it's his knee. Yeah, but after the sixth twilight was the stomach, and on the seventh twilight the knee was gouged. After seeing one of them stuck near Kumasawa Bachan's calf. Couldn't help masochistically laughing. That's right. And the sixth twilight gouged the stomach and kill. The seventh twilight gouged the knee and kill. On the eighth twilight gouged the leg and kill. Now even the eighth twilight is over. And the next one, the ninth twilight, what was it again? Maria was there. She was facing the wall in the inner part of the room, standing stock still, completely alone. She faced away from this horrible scene, standing by the wall, singing her song over and over. There was nothing else in this room, just the corpses of the 3 who'd been brutally killed, and the phone receiver, which was still off its hook, proving that this was the room the call had come from. It was that Maria, her back to the scene as she kept on singing while facing the wall. She couldn't even scream at this bizarre scene. We could only stare, shocked with our mouths hanging loosely open. Maria? Jessica
okay.
called out to her. Maria showed no reaction. Alone, she kept singing on and on. Come here, trying to save Maria from some approaching danger. So now that we'd found her, we should have been running up to Maria, hugging her, joyous that she'd been safe. Yet not one of us could do that. Everyone thought it, but they couldn't say it, after all, because that's right. Even if that's crazy, no, it couldn't be. I think it's you.
Maria, stop singing. Are you listening?
At some point, Natsuhi and I had pointed our weapons at Maria's back. I yelled at Maria in a violent voice.
It's
goddammit. There was no reaction. She just kept singing. With the candle stand readied, I ran up to her and forcefully, no, violently, slammed my hand down on her shoulder. And I pulled on her shoulder, forcing her to turn around.
Whoa.
Maria's small body was quickly pulled down and fell. As though unhappy at having her singing interrupted, Maria looked in my face with her usual expression. Even in this gruesome situation, she was just like normal. In bold. Maria, what is this? Who did it?
Beatrice.
Not that crap! Through the candle stand I'd been holding against the wall. The violence of that reckless sound should have gone straight into Maria's heart. But Maria's expression didn't change at all.
Quit it, Batlakun. Maria-chan, this time you should have seen the face of the culprit who killed these 3. Was the culprit the same Beatrice who gave the letter? Ew! Beatrice.
Well, in that case, it's certain. There's a 19th person. Beatrice does exist. Maria, will you at least tell me this much? How did they kill these 3 people? What did they use to kill them in such a brutal way?
I don't know.
How could you not know? It happened in this room. Are you trying to tell me you're so absorbed in singing you didn't notice?
Calm down, Batlakun. Maria-chan, talk to me. Okay?
Georgianiki, as he always did, crouched down next to Maria so that their eyes met and spoke to her very kindly.
Maria-chan, why were you facing the wall and singing? Beatrice said to face the wall and keep singing for a long time. So did Beatrice come here? Were Genji-san and the rest still alive then? Everyone came into the parlor together and sat down. Genji-san made sure to lock the door.
It was locked when we got here. Then how did Beatrice get into the parlor?
Beatrice is a witch, so locks don't matter. She turned into butterflies and came in through the crack of the door.
Huh? Calmly joking at a time like this? Like hell that happened. What are you saying?
You can't believe it. That's why I didn't want to say. No matter how I say it, you won't believe. But Beatrice is a witch. She can do anything with her miraculous magic. That's why Beatrice doesn't care whether a door is locked or not. And after Beatrice appeared, what happened to everyone? Beatrice talked to us. She said grandfather's study was protected by a powerful force, and she couldn't enter no matter what she did. So she told us she'd select 3 sacrifices from the 4 people in the parlor. Everyone said, no way. Kumasawa-san kept saying, no way, no way. But Beatrice chose. And when she did, Beatrice said I'd be fine. Why do you think? It's because of the scorpion charm, with the 5th magic circle of Mars, the one Butler used to pray for my safety, the one he put his feelings into. Because of that power, Beatrice couldn't do anything to me, and me alone. So she decided to use the other 3 as sacrifices. After that, Beatrice spoke. Come, face the wall and sing a song for me. You will sing lots and lots of songs, so no matter what happens, no matter what you hear, you won't hear, you won't hear, you won't know. Come, sing lots of fun songs for me. So I was singing the whole time, over and over, so I didn't hear anything, didn't know anything. And then all of you came. Ugh.
Are you asking us to believe that? You think we're stupid?
Then who will you suspect this time? Will you suspect me? Gonna try killing me right here? Even if you do that, Beatrice won't stop existing. Now, the 8th twilight is over and Beatrice will revive!
Are you serious? I've had enough of that talk. As if witches could exist, as if I'd let myself get tricked. He says falling for a trap.
Yeah, totally.
Beatrice doesn't exist. I definitely won't accept it. So I won't let her exist, I won't let her revive. The legend will remain a legend forever. I won't acknowledge something like that.
What?
Quit it, Battler. It's not like Maria killed them or let them die. Beatrice came and Maria had to obey. I was unable to resist.
Huh? Natsuhi. She isn't here.
Fuck. Fuck? Mom, where did she go?
Just now, she left by herself, reading a letter.
A letter? Makes sense. The culprits must be so exhilarated now that they've reached the 8th twilight. They might have left a letter so they could brag even more. We so wrapped up in questioning Maria that we forgot to look for a letter? Even as well armed as she was, why had she left the room by herself in this dangerous mansion after reading it? Jessica tried to chase after her and tugged at the handle to the door, but it resisted strangely and wouldn't open. Mom! Mom! What's going on? Open up! Open up! It was only natural. Natsuhi had picked up the candle stand which Battler had thrown at the wall. It had fallen to the floor. She then skillfully wedged it between the doorknobs on the double doors like a bolt, holding them closed. The intricate design of the candle stand caused it to get caught solidly. It really did make a sturdy seal on the door. Tragic screams of a daughter for her mother. Did it reach Natsuhi's ears or not?
Natsuhi's figure was alone in the entrance hall. It was the place decorated by the portrait of Beatrice. Natsuhi threw down Beatrice's last letter, the one she had read in the parlor.
I'm so glad we won't get to read it.
Readied her rifle again, and in a voice that rang clear, yelled in the massive space that was the entrance hall. I am Yoshiramiya Natsuhi, representative of the Yoshiramiya family. Show yourself, Golden Witch Beatrice. The entrance hall was dimly lit. Other than a faint light which shone on the center of the room, everything was blotted out by the jet-black darkness. In that darkness, butterflies glittering in gold squirmed, twinkled, and sneered. Natsuhi gave one more huge gulp and pointed the cold barrel of the gun at the gold butterflies. So you have finally shown yourself. I still can't believe that something like you really exists, but that isn't a problem. Both I, who bear the title of representative of the Ashurmia family, and you, who claim to succeed the headship of the Ashurmia family, are here right now. At this point, whether you're a witch or not is a trivial matter.
She says to the flying fucking golden butterflies.
Yeah. Come, let us settle this. Which of us will truly succeed the Ashurmia family? I, Ashurmia Natsuhi, or you, Beatrice? Allow me to respectfully accept your request for a duel.
Dummy.
Yeah. The gold butterflies slowly formed a human shape, which walked into the dim light.
It's happening.
Oh my god.
It's happening.
Natsuhi readied the rifle and glared.
It's happening.
The witch raised her golden staff overhead and laughed. Natsuhi's finger slowly squeezed the trigger. And go!
Battler made an all-out dash at the door and rammed into it, crushing the candle stand that had been barring it and making it possible for a big gap to be opened in the door. He kept kicking the candle stand through the gap, and the door was finally released. That reverb.
Yeah. Natsuhi fires her gun.
That time they heard it. They certainly heard the crisp sound of gunfire ringing out once. Mom! Mom!
Izuka-chan, you mustn't run off by yourself!
Is that the sound of a gun just now? Did Aunt Natsuhi shoot? At whom? At the culprit? The noise had come from the entrance hall. The entrance hall looked like a stage. The heroine of a tragedy on the ground and bathed in light, arrayed in the beauty of that silence, and Natsuhi lay face up, crumpled on the floor. Half crazed, Jessica ran up to Aunt Natsuhi. Aunt Natsuhi's forehead, almost as though through a sparkling shard of pigeon blood ruby, had been placed there.
System. Oh my god. Jump on that shit. Oh my god.
Can't right click.
It's okay. Get on that shit. Let's see what happened to Natsuhi.
Characters.
Top left.
Natsuhi.
Alright. Ishirumi and Natsuhi found shot to death in front of the witch's portrait. How impudent of her to challenge a witch with nothing but a mere gun. Of course she'd end up like this. Hehehehehe.
The question is, because we're inevitably going to see Beatrice in the next few
You think so?
bits, I hope. I hope. Who's taking the voice?
I am.
You're taking the voice?
100%, yes.
Alrighty. And from it, one stream of blood makeup passed by her eye and began to traverse her face. A faint smell of gunpowder smoke came from the barrel of the rifle Aunt Natsuhi grasped. Huh? Then she shot herself in the forehead? Why? Mom! Ah! I don't get it. Why did Aunt Natsuhi run away alone? Why did she shoot through her own forehead?
Maria-chan. Aunt Natsuhi left the room after reading a letter, right? There's no letter here. Damn it. What did Aunt Natsuhi read, and why was she lured out here?
I don't know. Who cares about that? What the hell? Why did she kill herself? Why did she leave me all alone? Ah! Jessica clung to her mother's corpse, crying earnestly. My body was consumed with an anger I didn't know what to do with, and I snatched the rifle from Aunt Natsuhi's hand. I spun around, pointing the barrel of the gun into the darkness on all sides, as though I was pointing a light from a lighthouse trying to find the culprit. George Aniki, even in this situation, was trying to calmly figure out something, but that might have been a fruitless effort. And only Maria was completely indifferent. So is this all supposed to be some kind of predetermined fate? That's not it. This is all a prelude to a wonderful world. The door to the Golden Land will finally open.
On the 9th twilight, the witch shall revive, and none shall be left alive. And on the 10th twilight, at journey's end, you shall attain to the power of the Golden Land's treasures once and for the last time.
The other thing that I just realized, right?
Yeah.
Is that if Beatrice is playing her own, is playing through this epitaph,
You look like you've just had a revelation.
I'm just...
I want to push, but I also want to know what this revelation is before we continue.
Because it's like...
Oh, God.
Everyone is wrapped up in this game.
Yep.
So how is the victor decided?
I don't know. It's a great question. What did the witch say would bring about a victor? Oh my god, we're actually doing this. We're so close!
Yeah, so close.
You're the worst! To be fair, I'm pretty sure I was doing this when I first played through. These tips are really good. It was right at... Oh, there it is. If and only if the special clause is fulfilled, and the special clause is... Beatrice retains the right to collect the gold, unless someone
So if someone discovers the gold.
The hidden gold, which may or may not exist.
But, okay, so what I'm gathering then is that all of this setup shit in the epitaph gets us to the part where then they have to go get the gold.
Maybe.
Because I was reading it as the epitaph was once you finish the epitaph, you get the gold.
I don't know.
But that
Maybe.
wouldn't make sense because clearly everyone is playing the epitaph to try and get to the golden land.
Okay.
Because that would be the only reason why Beatrice playing along with them would make sense.
You think that when she finishes the epitaph, she'll get the gold?
No. That's what I originally thought, which is
Okay.
why I think it didn't make sense.
Okay.
But I think now the golden land is probably episodes 2 to 8.
Maybe. I don't know. It's a great question.
And which is also where I think maybe the other world shit is maybe being alluding to.
Maybe. I don't know. We'll have to keep reading to find out. Let's get...
Ugh.
Look, we just gotta... This is the shit, dude. There's 4 people left out of 18.
Once and for the last time.
With this, everything is over. Beatrice, congratulations. So lead me to the golden land you told me of, right now. There, all the dead will be arrived, and even lost love will be restored. So, in Maria's eyes, it's just as though all today's tragedies didn't happen. As though all the time she spent deprived of love never happened.
Stop it. What's so fun? What's to be congratulated? There are 18 people on this island. 14 are dead. Only the 4 of us are left. I'm definitely not gonna die until the night is over. No, until the typhoon passes and the seagulls gather again at the harbor. I am definitely not gonna die.
It's not gonna die.
I'll stay alive. I'll stay alive no matter what.
Give it up, Battler! Guns are useless against witches. Survival and all that stuff doesn't matter because it's over. The journey has already ended. See, look at the clock. Yeah.
Huh? The clock? Hearing those words, I looked at my wristwatch. Both needles were almost touching near the top. Very soon it will be 12 o'clock at night. In other words, 2400. When you think about it, isn't 2400 a strange time? It can be called 2400 and it can also be called 0. It's the hour at the accumulation of the previous day, and at the same time, it's hour 0 as the next day begins.
Both 18 and 19.
Who's that?
Beatrice!
Maria suddenly called out and ran happily towards the darkness. It was almost as though Beatrice was somewhere in that darkness and Maria was running up to her. As Jessica hugged her mother's corpse, as George and Iki stood there confused, I looked down at the barrel of the rifle, gazing into the darkness. The space in front of Beatrice's portrait lay in that direction. The thing that Maria was running up to was the portrait's subject. You gotta be kidding me. This is just impossible. I could fall for something like this. Witches don't exist. I won't accept it. Something just like it because this is a human world. You think I would accept something that's not human? I definitely won't accept it. I pulled hard on the rifle's lever. The cartridge was ejected, fell on the floor, and a new cartridge was loaded. I sighted the witch down the barrel. Maria turned around. Still clinging to the golden witch, she turned around.
Didn't I tell you it was meaningless? Mere lead bullets are meaningless against Beatrice. Humans are so stupid, aren't they?
I won't accept the existence of witches. Who are you? Just try moving one step. Just try moving one finger. I'll blast you away. As the witches laughed. Even the large clock in the hole joined in on their laughter. Probably telling us the time was 2400. Both the tone telling us that we'd reached the culmination of this day and a tone informing us that all had returned to nothing. The rule that the witch would win when time ran out had already been revealed.
Atla, George, Nichan, and Jessica. The journey is ended and the witch has revived, see?
And none shall be left alive. which shall praise the wise and bestow 4 treasures, which shall be all the gold from the Golden Land, which shall be the resurrection of all the dead souls, which shall be the resurrection of the love that was lost, which shall be to put the witch to sleep for all time. Sleep peacefully, my beloved witch Beatrice.
Are you ready for this shit?
I don't think I am, honestly.
You better be. I got chills.
Well. Considering... Oh, is that it?
May I? The storm passed, and the leaden clouds that had enshrouded the island for so long cleared away. From the rifts between the clouds, sunbeams shone, and yesterday's storm seemed like a lie. Just as someone had wished, the seagulls returned to the harbour once again and let their lively cries be heard. Afterwards, the police came and conducted an investigation of the scene. The corpses of the children, who were thought to have survived until the very end, were never found. However, because of the body parts that were discovered and the unimaginably gruesome nature of the scene, the police were forced to conclude that the chances of survival for any of the 18, even the children, seemed hopelessly dim. Just wait till this is over. Just how gruesome was the banquet of the witch, and how beautiful was the Golden Land. They were the only ones who got to hear that tale. No tales were told to those humans who arrived after the banquet was over. The best they could do was imagine what might have happened during those 2 days. However, the witch was fickle. She made a point of leaving behind this tale, which didn't need to be heard, and it was allowed to spread. Then, many years later, a strange wine bottle that had drifted on the waves to the pier of a neighboring island was pulled out by the fishermen. Inside it was a thin, tightly rolled notebook fragment written upon in cramped small letters. Written there was this tale. Through this notebook fragment, people will finally learn the truth of the mysterious and riddle-filled 2-day period that started on October 4th, 1986. This incident was later called by many names such as the Rokkenjima mass murders or the 18 killings of Rokkenjima, through dilettantes from around the world knew it as the witch legend serial murders. Lovers of the occult claimed it was all the result of an immoral ceremony that had sealed off the island on those 2 mysterious days, was severally embellished with many different interpretations as the story began to spread far and wide. However, not one of these interpretations approached the truth. Furthermore, with the notebook fragment describes this mysterious incident, it does not reveal the truth of what happened there, or perhaps even the writer didn't know what the truth was. According to the writer, her name was Oshirimiya Maria. Incidentally, as a result of an all-out police investigation, part of Maria's body, a piece of her jaw, was discovered. It was one of the rare instances where the corpse was identified thanks to dental records. At that gruesome scene, there had been many body parts that couldn't be identified as belonging to a specific person. It was probably fair to say that this jaw was extremely fortunate to find. Because this jaw had been separated from its body, the police judged the chance of survival to be hopelessly dim, even though none of her other body parts were found or at least identified. And so, let's conclude this tale with the final section of the notebook fragment that Oshirimiya Maria left behind. By the time you have read this, I will probably be dead, although there may or may not be a corpse. You who have read this, please find out the truth. That's my only wish, Oshirimiya Maria. This very day, the truth of the witch legend, serial murders, has not been brought to light. We're still going. We're still going. I think. Or is that it? No. First game, Legend of the Golden Witch, result. Here we go. This is the best bit of the game. Oshirimiya Kraus down the first Twilight. I'm not going to read all of these, I think. Oshumi Rudolph, first Twilight. Carrie, first Twilight. Rosa, first Twilight. Shannon, first Twilight. Goda, first Twilight. Ava, second Twilight. Hideyoshi, second Twilight. Also,
Are the stakes?
Note the stakes. Yes. Look, just, I'm not going to read all this, but Ava, Asmodeus, Hideyoshi, Beelzebub, Kinzo, Mammon, Canon, Stake of Satan, Genji, Lucifer, Nanjo, Stake of Belphegor, Kumasawa, Stake of Leviathan. The witch Beatrice revived. Finally opens the door to the Golden Land. Natsuhi, the witch prays her nobility and granted the honor of a duel. George is missing, but he was taken to the Golden Land. Same with Jessica and Maria. Oshirimiya Batla missing on the 10th Twilight. Will the witch invite this man who denied her existence to the Golden Land? The witch will praise the wise and shall bestow 4 treasures in the Golden Land. There they chose to revive the souls of the dead and the love that had been lost. After all, no matter how large amount of gold they may have desired, it would have been out of their grasp. George chose his lost fiancé. Jessica chose the boy she had liked and lost. Maria chose the lost love of her mother. Sleep peacefully, Beatrice. Let nothing disturb your slumber ever again. The winner is the Golden Witch Beatrice. Time ran out before even one of the 18 people could solve the riddle of the gold. All 18 died. When the seagulls cried, none were left alive. Umineko where they cry. Oh! Welcome to Rokkenjima. When they cry 3. Presented by a 7th expansion. Oh my god. Yeah! Oh, God. Is your mind blown yet?
What the fuck?
Look, the Golden Witch has prepared a gift for you in commemoration of your stay. You can find these new features on the title screen. We're gonna keep going!
What?
We're gonna keep going!
What?
Oh my god. Umineko, you motherfucker! You got us!